Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Aidan Rudline, as Master Sergeant Dugan said. I am the battalion commander of the JROTC program we have here at McKinley, and the purpose of my visit today is to provide you with information about the program and what it has done for me and other cadets around us. Before we go any further, I would like to further reinforce the fact that JROTC is not a military recruitment program, and it is a character building class that emphasizes on motivating young people to become better citizens. It does this with reaching core abilities such as critical thinking, treating yourself and others with respect, communication, and preparing for lifelong learning. These abilities have impacted and shaped me into who I am today by a large margin. Prior to entering the program my freshman year, I was a shy, smart, but lazy child. I did not like school as I felt it was not a challenge for me. I was lacking in self-confidence, and I did not have a plan for what I wanted to do in the future. I was not a part of any clubs or sports after recently quitting football, and I was not good at talking to people. The first memory I have at JROTC is walking into a classroom during freshman orientation and playing a quiz-like game about the history of the United States. I loved history, so I won the game. I was then thrown a keychain and talked to more about the program and the history of the United States. This led me to thinking of joining the program as I would be surrounded by people with my interest. After talking it over with my mother, I decided to join the program. It immediately became my favorite class. I would look forward to it every day. It taught us things outside of the normal classes, things I could use in my everyday life. It also provided me with a challenge, since it was something I wasn't used to. Unfortunately, I didn't become majorly involved in the program until my junior year because of COVID-19. When I became involved, I really changed as a person. I came into my junior year with a lot of motivation. And put all my effort into JROTC. I was given the challenge of learning how to lead and look forward to every opportunity I was given. My ability to communicate flourished as I had to learn to influence and motivate other people of all types to accomplish a different goal. I took every mistake as a learning experience and improved from it. I developed friendships that I wouldn't trade for anything. It gave me a way to develop a plan for my future, but most importantly, I gained self-confidence. I was comfortable talking to people, approaching others, and leading. I was confident in my abilities and skills. With the leap I took that year, I would take command of the entire program this year. The program taught me to be a leader and a role model for others. It changed the way I saw myself and how I presented myself to the world. JROTC by far had the largest impact on the development of myself as a person. As for how I've seen the program affect others, their mannerisms improve as well as their ability to effectively communicate. The cadets learn how to properly introduce themselves for the first time because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. We teach them the importance of networking and how it can lead to opportunities in the future. I watch them not being able to speak in front of 3 people to giving whole speeches in front of large crowds. This program gives them the confidence they need to communicate. They learn how to speak with all personalities and types. When they meet adults, they always are shocked by how our cadets present themselves. Every year, we have to write a cadet essay, and you can see the year-to-year improvement they make with their writing abilities. They also gain valuable skills that our current generation is lacking in, such as working as a team, identifying their strengths and weaknesses, improving them, and taking charge of a group to accomplish a goal. These are traits that employers are looking for that our cadets have a head start in. The program will prepare cadets for their future in other ways that other classes are not, and they will benefit in many ways. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you about JROTC and what it means to me. Have a wonderful evening.
Certainly, we want to thank our young people, and we certainly want to thank the commander who has done a phenomenal job over the years. Would you please give our ROTC students another round of applause? What I'd like to say to you and to our listening audience is that this ROTC program is accepting throughout the district students, additional candidates. And I encourage parents to recognize the importance of how a child can learn how to conduct themselves and learn how to achieve in an orderly way. We have a lot of things going on in our communities, and ROTC is a solution to one of them. So I certainly want to thank the McKinley ROTC as well as the other ROTCs within our district. And I especially want to thank the parents in advance for putting your children in a structured program such as ROTC this fall. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to our Honorable Superintendent, Dr. Tanja Williams.
Thank you, President Cotman. We are in the house of McKinley High School. McKinley High School. And as you can see, it's all set up for graduation tomorrow. McKinley has had a long and very positive legacy in our city. And about 4 months ago, a decision was made that we would bring a young man, Principal Terrence Jenkins, here to lead this school. And I'd like to ask Principal Jenkins if he would come forward to welcome everyone to this wonderful, wonderful school. Principal Jenkins.
Testing. You said young man. I like that. I like an old man right now too. Thank you so much for inviting me, Madam Superintendent, Madam President, board members. Welcome to McKinley. To all of you that are here, welcome to McKinley. So before I talk a little about McKinley, really quick, I was going through some physical and mental changes prior to coming to McKinley. And so I'm not a religious person, but I started to meditate. I do a lot of meditating. And one of the things, once I meditate, there are two people that I talk to over time, and they are like my rocks. So we talk spirituality. We talk a lot of these different things. And I said, well, I'm just trying to be better. I understand that I'm not here for me. Like this thing that we call life is a lot bigger. So I was going back and forth, and he said, well, when you're meditating, we call it the grand architect of the universe, like be careful what you say to the grand architect of the universe. So I was like, okay, no, you need to be careful what you say. You need to be specific when you talk to the grand architect. So I was like, all right. So I started to be really specific, and I started talking about how I just wanted to be there for people. I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to be a reflection of what people want to see in themselves. Now, I almost sound a little omnipotent or arrogant, but that's where I was. Fast forward, it's like, well, okay, I'm doing this every day. I'm drinking my water. I'm eating correctly. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call. And it was like, yeah, we started talking about McKinley. And I said, McKinley High School? Yeah. Like, the McKinley over there, 1500 McKinley? Yep, 1500 McKinley. So I said, wow, okay. And then I hung up the phone. I was like, wow, you're funny. Oh, you got jokes. And then I felt like, you know what? I felt like he said to me, or she said to me, you said you wanted to be there. There is a place that could use you. And I'm like, yeah, but come on. You said you wanted to be there. So all of that said, I came to McKinley to listen. That's what I did. And in the process of listening, I had the greatest help in the world. I had the greatest support between Dr. Williams to board members coming to see me, Cindy Mack. I call her Cindy Mack because I struggle with saying her last name. Cindy Mack. So I said, Cindy Mack, cabinet members, everyone, directors, came and said, Mr. Jenkins, what do you need? From Infinite Campus to ELL to everyone came and said, Mr. Jenkins, what do you need? Chief came, said, what did you need? But I couldn't do this. JROTC lined up and said, Jenkins, we got you. What you need, whatever you need. But there was one person that's been standing by me, Miss Watson, Miss Charlene Watson. She has been there and she continues to be there. And she knows how much I love her because I tell her, you know, I got a wife at home. So, but anyway, so I say all of that to say, look, McKinley is turning. It's going to take some time. You know, when you turn a ship, you have a big giant ship, you don't just do a U-turn. You know, that ship, you got to kind of stretch all the way around, and then it's got to probably go 4 miles this way, come back another 5 miles, go back this way, and then head. So we're in the process of turning, and we're going to continue to turn. Some of the things that we're doing, again, with listening, I'm trying to push students into the classroom. Tomorrow is going to be the most awesome day. We have our graduation. We have 156 seniors. We're giving out thousands of dollars. I am so, and they know I keep telling them, they're my favorite people. I am absolutely proud of the seniors. They watch me go crazy and they just look at me like, you'll be all right. And it's like, dude, get to class. All right. And they just move at their own pace. But you know what? I saw them today when we did our rehearsal. And they don't understand how proud I am of them. And I don't think they understand the gravity of what they're about to do. And so what I tried to do today was talk about that and continue to talk about that throughout the school time that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. As I told Dr. Williams, I'm signed, sealed, and delivered. Only God and she can remove me from here at this point. And that's it. I understand that's hard for many to understand and hear. That's tough to hear. But I'm not going anywhere. I live right over here. I could walk here if I really wanted to. I'm 0.8 miles away. Again, I never thought I'd be at McKinley, but I'm here. I appreciate the people around me. Thank you so much. I mean, as I look, Nate, Rob, Dr. Cresses, everyone on this board has been awesome. So again, thank you. My door is always open. I'm exhausted, but I'll listen. If you have any questions or concerns about McKinley High School, you're welcome to come see me, or you could just make an appointment. It'd be a lot easier. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Principal Jenkins. I came over to the school about a month ago, and it was just remarkable. He knew all the kids' names as we were walking the halls, and some of them, might have had a hat on. When they saw him coming, they knew, let me take my hat off. There was such great respect. The teachers appreciate him. The school looked marvelous. It was clean. And he and Associate Watson and his leadership team have just done a remarkable job, as well as all of the staff and the parents. He had a parent meeting when he first got here. And as you can imagine, some parents were, concerned. He came in the middle of the year. But, look at this. We've got all these chairs that will be filled tomorrow with graduates because of the hard work that you and your team have done. And we just appreciate all that you've done. Thank you so much, Principal Jenkins, for heeding to the call. Thank you. Now, there's another group that we are going to recognize tonight, but before we do, I just want to say that we have a young man who has served as the student rep on our board, and that's not an easy role, is it? No, no, it's not easy. Because he's got a full day at school, and then he comes here for board meetings, and sometimes board meetings can run a little bit late, but he stays. And he has just done an excellent job. He was one of two students that was selected to lobby in Albany. And our New York State Senator, Tim Kennedy, could not stop raving about this young man. He is such a class act, and I know he's going to go far. He's graduating tomorrow morning from Leonardo da Vinci High School. And I just want to say on behalf of at least myself, and if board members want to say anything, to you, they can. This is your last board meeting. And so if our board president or members would like to say something to you, he gave us beautiful gifts. I mean, that's the classiness of him. It's a buffalo. It's a buffalo. We should be giving you gifts because we just appreciate, and I hope that this was a learning opportunity for you serving, but we appreciate all that you've done for your student leadership. I'll pass it over to the board president.
I'll let the board go first. Does anyone want to say anything to our students?
For you, sky's the limit because the mannerism and attitude that you have here at the board table is going to take you very far in life. So, kudos to your parents. Are they here today? Mom? Great job, Mom. Wonderful job. And what school are you going to? UB. And your studies are going to be?
I just want to thank everyone, all the board members who've been so supportive. I want to thank my mom who's been bringing me to all of these meetings every month. She's been waiting, just sitting there, watching, listening. She loves it. I want to thank my former principal, Mrs. Murray, who I see every time sitting over there. Can't believe I graduated 4 years from her school. I want to thank the facilitators of my inner high, Miss Sanders and Miss Kleiman. And I want to thank everyone who's been regularly attending and speaking at our monthly meetings. It's been great to know everyone. Tomorrow, I'm going to be graduating from Da Vinci High School, and in the fall, I'm attending UB to study mathematics and education. Yes.
I wasn't expecting him to, but he's such a take charge individual. I was expecting to say something, but first of all, the opportunity that respected and honored. You cannot change anything on the outside. You have to be a part of it. And so I want to say to our student leaders that we did not go as far as we wanted to go this year because my intent was to have a meeting with you all. But today you have full access to the mic. If there's anything that you want to say, it is your time to let us know because as long as it takes for your voice to be heard today, we will listen as a board because our goal was to have a sit down with you, and somehow or another the year got away from us. But I want you to know that whatever we can do in this district to help you get to the next level. So without that, I'll go back on script. I'll let the superintendent take back over. I'll sit with them.
I would just say that I'm so proud that Graydon is a Park District resident and comes from two great families, the Hilmes and the Rabinski families, which are have a lot of ties to St. Agatha's and South Park High School. So congratulations, and we can't wait to hire you.
Hi, Graydon. So it's been an honor to serve with you for the last 6 months. Newer to the board, but I've been incredibly impressed from the start with your not only resilience in our incredibly long meetings, but your ability to participate and share with us all of the good work that you're doing. You truly have represented the students, and you bring, I think, a unique perspective and thought every time you sit here with us and have conversations. So thank you for that. Thank you for keeping us in check and on our toes, and making sure that we have the right mindset when we enter the space. And I'm quite excited to see where you end up and what you end up doing as you continue on your journey. So congrats.
Congratulations. Thank you for serving. Good luck to you and keep going to Albany. And next, take it to DC. Keep going.
And come back to Buffalo Public Schools once you get your degree and teach. Give back to the Buffalo Public Schools. So you've heard President Kottman speak a little bit about our Inter-High Student Council group, who she's been pretty involved with. I'm going to ask our Chief of Student Support Services, Dr. Sharon Brown, to officially recognize our Inter-High Student Council group.
Thank you so much, and good evening, Dr. Williams, honorable board members, listening audience. This is such an exciting time, and you all have said it all. Graydon, you have just been an amazing leader. He has taken the initiative to do so many additional things and sit on additional committees, keeping up with his work, and the fantastic, remarkable student council. They have just done so much this year. And just to elevate student voice, we know how important that is. And we want you to continue to do the work that you're doing. We know that this is a representative group. We know that June is such a busy month. It's a month where we reflect and celebrate. And also just to remember that we continue to grow. We know we're not perfect, but the student leaders, they let us know exactly where we need to go, and I love that. And I just want to thank you, Dr. Williams, for giving the team the space to be able to do this work. And not only did you do that, but you attended a meeting and you listened. And not only did you listen, but you took that feedback and you took next steps to put it in action. And certainly honorable board member Kottman, she is a huge advocate. As you can see, she was over here talking to the students, continuously telling them, make sure you elevate your voice. And she's just a huge advocate. And thank you so much for every month sitting on the team, providing the questions and answers. And then just finally, before I turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Hill to just give you some quick highlights, and then the students, just really grateful to Director Andrea Sanders, who's out of town right now for a business trip, bringing back additional professional development for us. And Anna Kleiman, just excellent school counselor coordinator. They led this team under the direction of Assistant Superintendent Hill. And certainly I want to thank the parents, the caregivers. You already know you have amazing students here. So we just thank you. We're looking forward to getting bigger and better next year. Assistant Superintendent Hill.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Dr. Williams, and honorable board members, and everyone here. I am just going to give a few highlights of some of the things that the Inter-High Student Council has done this year. And as Dr. Brown said, I am actually here representing Andrea Sanders, who is the Director in Student Support Services, and Anna Kleiman, who is a coordinator in Student Support Services. And they really have done great work with the students this year, but it wasn't too hard because we have a great group of students. So we have a small representative group here. Actually, there are about 44 students on the Inter-High Student Council representing about 10 of our high schools. We have representatives from every high school, but we have this group who really stands out. Okay, so let's see. During this school year, the students attended monthly meetings, and the meetings were student-led. Each month there was a question and answer session that was led by our Honorable Board President Sharon Belton Cotman. For health and wellness, they were treated to, I would say, like professional development. So they've learned about health and wellness from our Student Support Services, Department of Social, Emotional, and Wellness Supports, UB Admissions, Project ACT, Pregnant and Parenting Teen Program, the BPS Crisis Prevention and Response Team. They learned about eliminating the stigma of mental health, kids escaping drugs. They've done various service projects. They actually had one meeting where I was a guest, and Dr. Heath Frisch, and they spoke to us about alternatives to suspension, and we actually have taken some of those things with us in mind as we're working on changing some of our programming. As was noted before, Graydon and another student actually went to Albany to lobby as part of a BPS, well, I guess a small coalition. It was Ms. Sanders and the two students. So they've been involved in quite a bit, and they could not have done it without the support of their families, who are also here with them today. So I thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is, again, as I said, we have about 44 students. We have a small representative group here today. As Dr. Brown said, because June is a very busy month, but we're thankful for them here today. So when the students, I call your name, you're gonna come up to get your certificate, and then you're gonna give your name, I'm saying your name, you're gonna give your school and grade, and then I know some of you feel like you can say um, more about yourselves. We talked about that, some aren't quite ready yet, but if you wanna say something, you are definitely welcome to do so, okay? So I'm gonna start with Patrick Brattle.
Good evening. I'm Patrick Brattle. I'm in my senior year. I have taken carpentry as my shop here, and I am the senior class president of the school.
Okay, thank you. Gianni Davis. Gianni has chosen not to speak, and that's fine. Salma Elhag.
Hi, my name is Selma Al Hajj, and I'm a senior. Uh, I'm I'm a senior, and I've been accepted to UB, and I'm going there. And I also have a poem today that I can finally get out of my comfort zone and say it. So my poem's called "What They Can't See." I don't see color, so you don't see me. You don't see the struggles we've been through, Our Excellency. I don't see color. It's not a light phrase to use. If you can't understand, I'll be happy to break it down for you. Mm. When I see black, I see excellence. I see Madam C.J. Walker. I see the 44th president. When I see black, I see the blueprint. Only they try to copy, and y'all saw how the shoe fit. Y'all heard black don't crack. It's not just about looks. Even when they try to put pressure on us, we shine like diamonds and leave them shook. They had a head start, but still couldn't win the race. The color that you don't see ran a 5.8, 5, sorry, 9.58. This color that is so translucent to you had to fight for HBCU. See, Ruby, she did what not many of us could do. She created bridges for us to cross into integrated schools. They said that we were ignorant, that we couldn't do it, but we created the very thing y'all stay cool with. But they don't tell about that. They said the white man did that. They can't let you know that we can be young, successful, and black. I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for the black excellence that came forth. Because of Malcolm, Madam C.J. Walker, Angela Davis, and so many more. Now I see color, and that color is magnificent. I can only thank God because our melon is heaven sent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next student is Graydon Hilmy. So we've heard a lot about Graydon today, but I'm sure he has more to share because there's so many wonderful things.
I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and thanks for everyone that showed up today. You guys are true leaders, so thank you.
Okay, Paige John was here. Did she leave? Gabriella Patoli.
I just wanted to say I'm Gabriella Patoli from Frederick Law Olmsted. I'm a junior. This year I was lucky enough to represent Olmsted as the junior student council president. So I'm excited to help represent Olmsted next year.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to say this right. Daria Zulkarnain.
I'm Daria, and I am a rising senior at Frederick Law Olmsted, and I am going to be treasurer of Inner High in the upcoming school year.
I have her, but I left it. Christella Ombeni.
Hi, my name is Christella Ombeni. I am an upcoming senior at Frederick Law Olmsted. I was lucky enough to be the vice president of the junior class of 2024 at Olmsted, and I was also elected to be the vice president for Inter High for the upcoming school year.
Okay, so those are our student representatives here today for Inter-High Student Council. And again, we have participating this year roughly 44 students, and they will be getting their certificates at another time. Thank you very much.
I would like to ask if all of the inter-high students and Assistant Superintendent Hill and Associate Superintendent Brown, if you could stand in the front and if board members could stand on stage so that we could get a photo. If you'd like to come up on stage, you could certainly come up. And I'm told that there are some refreshments for our student leaders and for our JROTC students who gave up their time to be with us tonight. So please go and enjoy those delicious refreshments. Thank you again, Inter High Council for the Buffalo Public Schools. Great, and please wish your granddad a happy birthday on behalf of myself and the board and our district. All righty. So this past weekend, the Buffalo schools had the opportunity to walk in the Juneteenth parade. I think we were all of us that walked slept well that evening. But as we were walking, there were some schools that were present at the parade. And I happened to turn around and I saw a young man, and he had something on his head that looked very, very heavy. And it looked like this trophy that is to my left. We had the McKinley basketball team and the cheerleaders that were out there. And I want to ask if Assistant Superintendent Michael House would come up and to provide a recognition for our McKinley Max. I'm told once a Mac, always a Mac. Is that right? I'm kind of an honorary Mac.
That is correct, Superintendent Williams, and thank you, Superintendent and Board, for this opportunity, and as well as our community. So tonight, we did have several of our Macs here tonight, but they are so dedicated to the game of basketball. They do have a summer league game tonight, so they just did have to step out. We do have a couple of our assistant coaches, but we'll proceed with their recognition. So the purpose of tonight is to honor our Section 6 Class A1 champions, our McKinley Max boys basketball team. Yes. Coach Dorsey has been here as a CTE teacher at McKinley for 23 years. If I had to define Coach Dorsey, it would be of his leadership. Coach Dorsey is an excellent role model. Every year he carries between 30 and 40 young men in his program. He's a league chair, and he mentors and guides several of the other coaches from our boys basketball Yale Cup League. He reinforces the values of hard work, academics, family, giving back to the community, integrity, and love. Secondly, he's a teacher of the game. He is an analytical coach. He spends a lot of time reviewing film, preparing his student athletes to go to competition. He really develops the young men over the time that he spends with them on and off the court. He knows how to get the most out of all his players. Coach Dorsey, as I mentioned, has been at McKinley for a long time. Head coach for 15 years. He's got over 250 wins, 7-time Yale Cup winner. He has one of the best coaching staffs here in the city of Buffalo. We have Coach Juan Phillips, who's also a Buffalo police officer. Coach John Kelly, also a Buffalo police officer. He's got Bashir Ansari, who's an alumnus of McKinley, and Lavelle Smith. Both of them, all four men, are great mentors and assistant coaches to support the program. Team recognition. This year, McKinley High School was 19-5. They're 3-time Yale Cup champions. Most of these young men, they won 21, 22, and 23. They were, over the past 3 years, 51 wins and 9 losses. 35 of the wins were Yale Cup wins with only 1 loss. Again, Section 6 Class A1 champs. Overall, Section 6 Class A runner-up. Top 10 program voted on by the Buffalo News. Our student athletes, accolades. Makai Williams, first team Yale Cup, Player of the Year Yale Cup. Award, all Western New York, second team. Western New York, all center court team selection. New York State, all state selection. Honor roll student. Will attend Buff State and play basketball for Buff State next year. St. John Beasley, Yale Cup team, first team. 3-year varsity player. Honorable mention center court. Honorable mention Buffalo News. Kevin Morden, first team Yale Cup, 2nd-year varsity player. Will attend Alfred State. He's also a P-Tech and plumbing student. Jordan David Lewis, 2nd team Yale Cup, 2nd-year varsity player. Will attend Buff State University. Will play basketball also at Buff State. Sadiq, he's an MBK alumnus. He will attend Hilbert College, 1st-year varsity player. And then Azari and Dugganay, 3-year varsity player, will attend Alfred State. He will play football for Alfred State. So as you can see, Coach Dorsey and his staff, the young men, have put together a great body of work. Tonight, we want to thank them and congratulate them for all their hard work and leadership as the Section 6 Class A1 champions.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent House and coaches, for all that you do for our young men. We appreciate it. We really do appreciate it because we know that, for some of them, that's the motivation for them to go on and achieve academically, knowing that they have an opportunity to play on the court, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you for taking hours after hours working with our students. Thank you. Just a few more recognitions. For this next one, I have to read because it's quite a bit. And it's to a person that we all know, and most all of us, if not all of us, respect immensely. And we have a token for this person of appreciation. He's not here with us tonight, but I did share with him he is worthy of me sharing some information about all that he's done, and it's for Mr. Philip Remore. Mr. Philip Remore is the president of the Buffalo Teachers Federation, and he graduated from East Rockaway High School in Long Island, New York. And then he graduated from the University at Buffalo. I didn't know this, but he graduated 1/2 year early from the University at Buffalo, and he majored in physics and philosophy. He secured a position teaching emotionally disturbed children at what was then School 6 on Hickory and South Division Streets in Buffalo. His original plan was just to earn enough money to pursue physics and philosophy in graduate school at the University of Indiana, where he had been accepted for admission. But 13 years later, see, Buffalo schools, it gets in your blood. 13 years later, Phil, as we all affectionately call him, was still teaching emotionally disturbed children at School 6 because the challenge of working with the children that everybody else had given up on became too important to him to turn his back on them. Since becoming the president in 1981, Mr. Remore continued the BTF's fight to lower class sizes, ensure that schools were safe for students, provide increased student support services, and to end the detrimental over-testing of students. Phil never avoids a challenge, we all know that. And his credo is, in order to become all that you are capable of being, you must try to be more. In order to achieve all that is possible, you have to try the impossible. That, coupled with his belief that a problem is something in search of a solution, means that the BTF is in a constant state of action. When asked who he credits for his success, without hesitation, he says he credits his mother. His mother and father were divorced when he was 2, and they never heard from the father again. So single-handedly, his mother raised him and instilled a value system and strength for which he is grateful. Again, he's not here tonight, but certainly we all want to share our appreciation for the work that he and his vice president, Rebecca Portum, have done. They have been a team for many years. We have a beautiful buffalo statue that we will present him with, and we have a certificate of appreciation that we will share with his vice president, Rebecca Portum. And finally, I have 2 surprise recognitions. We have some really hardworking departments. All of our departments work real hard. And some work hard behind the scenes and don't often get recognized enough or hear how much we appreciate all that they do. We have a human resource department that has just taken things to a new level. They are out doing teacher recruitment days that have folks lined up outside the door I'm told they have worked with Mr. Rodriguez, with Dr. Caban, as we try to diversify our staff. They are always looking for innovative new ways. And now I think the mantra is be a hero and teach in the Buffalo Public Schools. So our Chief of Human Resources, Tammy Holly McGee, is not here, but I'm told that her number 2 in command, Mike Anastasia, is here. Please come up, Mike, and we have a presentation for your department. We want you to hang it up and to share with the whole Human Resource Department that we really appreciate the exemplary performance and service to our school community that you all provide. Thank you for all that you do. The second presentation goes to, drum roll please, our legal department. Our legal department works tirelessly. We have our chief of legal counsel, Mr. Nate Kuzma, who's here to accept the award on their behalf. He didn't know that he was getting this award. And you know what? It's hard to keep stuff from Nate, you know, because he's everywhere. He's everywhere. But they do such hard work with our school district. It is a caring legal department. They truly care about this district and the people who they serve. All of our students. He's got a small team. It's not a huge team over there, but sometimes I'm leaving late at night and their lights are still on. They're still working. We appreciate it. Please share that with your department, that we appreciate all that you do. We want to get a picture with Mike and with Nate. Nate, you walked in the Juneteenth parade and you had your 3 little ones. Were you tired? I was very tired too. That concludes our recognitions for the evening. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. So it's time for our speakers. At this time, the board welcomes. I'm sorry, hold one moment. Superintendent is not finished. Okay. So now I'm going to share my update. So this year, this has been a year. I'm finishing up my first year as the permanent superintendent for the Buffalo schools. And, you know, I've often been heard saying, I understand the assignment. And with that means that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that assignment, responsibility that I take serious every single day. Not Monday through Friday from 8 until 4, every day, all day. holidays, weekends, evenings, whatever I can do on behalf of children, I do. And I've often been heard also saying that there's one thing that keeps me up at night, and it's not test scores, although they are important, but the safety and wellness of all of our kids is what keeps me up at night. And it's a lot. We've got 30,000 kids. We've got 60 schools. Our schools are like families with our children. You know, I mentioned that we walked on Saturday. I saw so many of my former students from when I was a principal, and it was like a reunion. You know, they remember you because when children know that you care, they never forget you. You can think back on the teachers, the principals that you remember. And usually it's those not that knew algebra the best or geometry the best. It's those that went above and beyond and who cared about you and your well-being. This pandemic has been tough on all of us. In Buffalo Public Schools, across the state, and across the nation. Many of our children have experienced a lot during this pandemic, and we all have too. This is a time, June is usually a time for celebrations. You know, we talk about all the chairs that are here. We go around to graduations and moving up days. And, you know, we're celebrating our kids meeting certain milestones. But this year, while we're celebrating, we're also heartbroken. Heartbroken that there are some children that won't be sitting in these chairs. This year, it's unfortunate that we've lost some children. Fire took 5 children. We've had children who have had illnesses. We've lost children, accidents. And we've had children who have hurt themselves. And we are all grieving. We are all grieving. We grieve with the families. You know, when things happen, I've got 8,000 staff, layers and layers and layers of staff, support staff, teacher aides, teacher assistants, teachers, assistant principals, principals, directors, supervisors. We've got lots of staff. But one thing I've prioritized myself with, because it is who I am to my core, is that when we lose a child, I don't designate somebody else to make a call, go to a visit. I do it because I need for our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whomever, to sit across from me, and I need to convey to them that their children matter. They matter to all of us. So, one of the things under my leadership, we're ending this first year for me, that we will do, that I commit to do, is to continuously, like we will always do a review of the year. Look at our policies, our regulations, and see where we need to improve upon preventive measures, updated trainings, ensuring that interventions are in place so that when children are hurting, they know who to go to get help. And then making sure that all those staff that I mentioned are providing supports in the schools to make sure that it's happening. That's my word. That is my word. So I will commit to doing that. And I know it's a little unorthodox. You know, usually we do bereavement at the end of our meetings. But in this case, I felt like I needed to do it up front. Up front. So that's how I'm starting. And I was going to share some things, but I'm just going to pause. Just going to pause. That's my report. That's my report. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Certainly, the Board of Ed echoes your sentiment. And the reason that we serve on the Board of Education, it is our hope and our quest to make a better day for every child. And as mothers and as parents, fathers, that's what we live for, to make a difference and make a better day for our children as well as the others. So it does not go unnoticed and unfelt when we lose a member of our family. And our goal here at the board is to work to see how quickly and how fast and how efficiently we can assist and reduce any future unfortunate traumatic events. And it's a balancing act. And it goes without saying that we have a large BPS family, and the issues that face our city and our society comes into our schools, and in many cases, we have to be everything from a social worker to a mental health provider. We have to be mother, we have to provide clothes, we have to provide food. We provide so much, and yet somehow or another, we're always criticized that we're not doing enough. But see, that's the easy one, to sit on the outside and find fault. The difficult work is the work that you do every day. The work that we do is that we get in the trenches and we try to make a difference. And I'm happy to say that we have a united board and we do make a difference, and that things are better than they ever have been in the Buffalo Public Schools under your leadership over the past year. And so to the parents and to our community, know that our ears and our doors are open, and know that we may not get it right 100% of the time because we're human, but we're going to continue to strive for 100% in every case. Thank you. Without further ado, we'll move this meeting forward.
I want to thank everyone who has participated, and a big shout out to our Inner High Student Union and our council. I want our principals to know that we are expecting more participation next year for our high schools. And you guys know I say it all the time, no excuses, and no is just a yes turned inside out. So we plan to have every high school represented next year in the Inter High Student Union without exception. I need a motion to excuse the following board members. Board member Jen McCozy, board member Ann Revere, and board member Kathy Evans Brown. So moved by Larry, second by Terrence Hurd. Any exceptions? All in favor? Aye, no exceptions. Thank you. Prior to today's meeting, the board went into executive session. To discuss matters of discipline of specific employees, to discuss pending litigation in cases with the following index numbers: 810 529-219, 804822 2020, 809822 2020, and 3 for the purpose of receiving legal advice. The board took no action prior to our meeting starting. So without further ado, we've held our speakers as long as we had to. I'd like to say at this time, the board welcome speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and revised locally. Attendees and viewers inside include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. Therefore, the board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by children of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district's mission. And the board asks that speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you. And let's see who we have. Our first speaker is Mr. Fields, and I do not see him here. Our next speaker is Janet Brady, parent with concerns. Thank you, Mrs. Brady, for your patience. Please address the board. Could you talk in the mic for us, please? You can lift it up if you want. Help her out, please, staff. Sorry about that. There we go. Now we can hear you.
What's going on? Now what's going on?
So much.
Just say
Check, check, 1, 2.
Okay.
1, 2.
Thank you. Now that's better. Thanks. Now I lost my 3 minutes. But anyways, I'm fighting for my son's education, and he was kicked out of timing during COVID. So I hurried up and went to Ash Street to get him into school. And I put down like South Park School, of course, and I put down a couple other schools. But I was hoping to get to South Park because it's down the street from us. And I he had gotten put in Emerson, and I went on, and I was like, could you please try to get him in South Park? He's going through stress and depression and stuff. I said, he's having a hard time because of being removed from all his friends from Timon during COVID, which is something I really don't understand how they could do that to a child when this was going on. I'm like, it doesn't make a bit of sense to me that everybody was going through all these terrible things and you're going to let a kid go from school. It didn't make sense. But anyways, I was trying to get him into the Buffalo schools, and I was having a hard time with that. I somehow got a hold of someone who's a board member now, who wasn't a board member, and had asked her for some kind of a help. And she told me that the school that he was signed to was Emerson, which was a good school. But it wasn't the same school we were talking about because there's two Emersons.
Oh, one moment, please.
I know. I have a big mouth. I have an Irish whisper. I feel like I'm talking loud. I'm not. I'm sorry. Because you really don't want me to talk loud. But anyways, I'm
Can you can respectfully, can you wait one moment? Because we want to hear what you have to say. Somehow or another, the acoustics in here all of a sudden went afoul. So if that means that this podium has to be brought forward so that the board can hear what she's saying, I appreciate if somebody does it, okay?
How come no one had problems until I got up here is what I want to know.
I don't know, ma'am, but I'm trying to fix it. It's not you. It's but we're trying to hear what you say. Are you okay with that? So if that means that she has to come up here so that we can hear her, we need to bring the podium up here. But for whatever reason, until you guys can get this so that the board can hear it, we have to stop it right now. I can't go through this. I think it's the echo is what I think. And so what do you think? If we move them here? Okay, would the board be receptive to coming down? How's that?
I said, why wasn't there no problems before? All of a sudden, why are we having? Oh, there was. I'm sorry. It sounded good.
When you
I was holding this.
Right, when you do that, okay, then it echoes. And so every time you did that, you started echoing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. You want to get it?
Well, I've been to the Board of Education over 100 times in the last couple of years. I was there when Mr. Cash was there, and I still wasn't getting any help. I was trying to get my son into South Park. He was stressed. They let me do remote learning. I talked to Carol Miliotto. I talked to Mrs. Sanders. I talked to Dr. Brown. I talked to Kelly Daniels. I talked to, Mr. Keister, Joel Rago, or Ago, whoever. I'm not too appreciative. No, yeah, I talked to him the first time. He's talking to me about my kid quitting school. I'm like, you work for the Board of Education and you're telling my son to be quitting because I'm like, doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we're going to get some solutions today. How much?
Well, my kid is almost 2 years behind in school now because I've not gotten any help. Listen, I've been coming. I've been to her office 100 times. Michelle's
100 times.
100 Michelle, who's working?
You want to hear what she has to say? Are you coming down or are you going to sit there?
You know, so
you can hear. So you can hear. We just can't hear.
Well, I've been here. I'm telling you, I've been 100 times.
So what I want to do is apologize to you for interrupting your speech.
It's okay. There was no speech, but thank you.
But what I want you to understand is that we are here to help, and we're going to get some solutions today for you, okay? So work with us, okay? If you've been to the superintendent's office 100 times, then it was time for you to come to the board, okay?
I was here at the last board meeting.
Okay.
But every time I went to go to a board meeting, they tell me, oh, it's at the waterfront. I get to the waterfront, it wasn't there. Oh, they moved it. It's at 108. How would I know all these numbers there? Come on.
It's posted on our website.
Right.
By law, we have to post it 2 weeks before we have.
You know what? I think my stuff's hacked, so I wasn't really getting too much stuff on it.
So what we want to do is, I cannot have it where I can't hear, okay? And so they were hearing well. So the echo obviously was on this side of the room. If they can hear and we were struggling to hear, there's a problem. So we're fixing it, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's taken that. It's not.
Oh, it is me.
No, and so, but they were hearing fine. We just couldn't hear certain things. And so we're going to sit down here and we're going to listen to the board. The board is going to sit down and listen to people where they can hear. We're stopping this right now.
Well,
This is what
I'm
happens
just
when you
saying,
leave
I
city.
need an appointment with you to talk
As
to you,
long as
miss.
we're in city
That's
hall,
what I
we
would
don't
like.
have this
I've
problem.
talked to Mrs. Sanders, I've talked to Doctor, I've talked to Mr. Keister, Joe Ago, I don't know, I've been down there over 100 times. Trying to get my son education. I was trying to get him remote learning because he was in stress and depression. I've taken him to ECMC, or not ECMC, children. But I tried doing that, and then he was at Emerson, but Mrs. Stokes and Lori Solano, I talked to her every single day, the whole year, and all I got was BS. I said, listen, I'm trying to get the remote learning done, and this screen ain't coming on. I'm getting a little, I'm getting crowded and I have ADHD. Yeah, now. Nope, I have ADHD and I have anxiety, stress, and Board of Education in Buffalo is not done any justice. I'm sorry, I understand that, but I've been, every time I go there, take a picture. I was there, and then I called her niece, it was Michelle or Nichelle, and then Mrs. Seven. 716. Yeah, but I feel bad that I'm disrupting this whole meeting like this too. I took him to his doctor. His doctor wouldn't evaluate him. Tried to change him, and I went to Dr. Chopra. Dr. Chopra got me an evaluation. Then Karen Miliolo got him into remote learning. But it was at Emerson. They were not doing nothing for my kid. Mrs. Gimboni, Mr. Roberts, whoever, no one would, they would never turn up the film. He wasn't getting any education. He was sitting there like going back to bed. Well, he was depressed. And he still is. It's been 2 years. But for 2 years, I've been fighting this, and I haven't gotten nowhere. I spoke with Mr. Keister twice, Joe Agra on the phone once or twice, but I want to talk to someone in person. I don't want to talk on the phone to somebody. It's my son's life. I've been fighting this for 2 years. How come every time I want to get to a board meeting, I can't get to a board meeting? I finally got to one last month. And they're like, oh, you got to sign up to. I need him to get an education. I want him to get in school. But I need to do remote learning because he will not. He went to Cell Park. He was in a class of 6. And he said, Ma, I've never been with such mean kids in my entire life. And I said, Brady, everybody's life's different. And I go, I went through a really traumatic part of our life with this. Okay, this is done. Look what it's done to us. You know, I said, it's moved down, you know, my husband. And he's like, Mom, but those kids are doing. And he doesn't understand because he's never seen someone talk to another adult. So let me, usually we respond at the end. But I will call you. Thank you very much. Next speaker. I know, Tara. This is who I talked to about Emerson. Her daughter's a principal there. Well, I was going to sing a song now that's working. Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And so let's be real clear about who this board is. This board is about hearing what the people have to say. And I had never spoken to her, and the superintendent had never spoken to her. But she came here to talk to us today about her child, and we're going to make sure that we can do whatever we have to do to get him back on target, and we appreciate the mother's advocacy. That's who we are. Not going to sit here and act like this is a perfect system and everything looks good and then it's not delivering. That's not who we are. So people need to understand. If you don't like the fact that as the president, I asked the board to come down here and meet with the constituents, then talk to me later about it. But that's who Sharon Cotman is. She's not afraid of the constituents. Next, I like Ebony McMillan, parent bullying at school 45. Ebony, are you okay with us sitting close to you like this? I didn't know, that it might cause some harm for some people. Thank you. Thank you.
And talk, but I'll try to talk a little loud. No barrier. Thank you. So, thank you for honoring me with a voice this evening. I will try to honor the 3 minutes with facts. On May 16th, first and foremost, I'm going to take a minute of my 3 minutes to say with you and the village, and you have support, and we are one. And I debated if I wanted to continue to speak today because our stories are similar, but I go home to my boy. So I speak for you, and I speak for my boy, and I speak for all those parents who are not here today.
You don't have to cut it short.
On May 16th, the young man that I am here to represent was assaulted at School 45, a Buffalo public school building. He was cornered at recess, pulled to the ground, kicked, and hit in the head repeatedly. So much so, the other student hurt her hand on his head. None of what you just heard is an assumption. As one of the students who assaulted the young man that I am here to represent, pulled out her cell phone, asked another student to record the assault, and then uploaded it to social media. This was all during the school day. The young man that I am here to represent told the attending teacher at recess of the assault, saying, "I was assaulted." Her response, "Go play on the opposite side." He entered the building and asked to go to the school counselor. He made the same claim, "I was assaulted." He then got on the school bus. He told the bus driver, someone he only knows for about 15 minutes a day, "I was assaulted." He got off the school bus. He entered our vehicle, and the same claim was stated. A source produced the video as it was still posted on social media. The interim principal called to notify us of what we already knew and was coming in to discuss that day. The nightmare had only just begun. Not only do I have a young man, a refugee, an EL student with his trauma who was harmed physically, cyberbullied, and afraid of what they may do next to him for telling. I have a month-old principal who used the words, "This is unfortunately what kids are doing these days." When I tell you the nightmare just begun, it just begun. What happened was something no one at this point could change. What happened after, my husband and I found it to be more egregious, as the principal had a duty to our child, to us, and she failed to honor that. A 2-day suspension and 1 additional day because she knew she would be out of the building. Isn't enough. It's not enough. Telling us we must understand that she has a duty to the other students' rights as she continues to dishonor the young man's rights who was assaulted. The victim wasn't okay. asking an EL student in 6th grade, but functioning somewhere between the 1st and 2nd grade to write what happened isn't okay. To be unaware of her actions and words towards someone in active trauma isn't okay. To lead an international school with the highest refugee EL population, with the terms actions we witnessed, lack of actual delivery, and consequences disproportionate to the offenses are all not okay. To have the intern principal who didn't satisfy our need for safety for this young man, I'm here to represent. To have her boss come into the next meeting and start a conversation with stating the area of Buffalo that my family lives and how he could help us get our young man in a good school near us. The kind of school that kids test into is absolutely not okay. Therefore, my family and I have a no vote of confidence in the intern principal becoming permanent. We cast our vote upon you based off our experience, and it's a no. Of course, there are many fill in the blanks, and I wish I could go into it. And I can go on and on with things that happened and are happening that go against your policies, your procedures, that are simply not okay. I want to leave you with this. The young man didn't return to anyone's school. He has a fear of retribution. He journals about being the one who is being punished, and how it should be the other way around. He wasn't offered anything he himself could be confident in and would make him feel safe. He doesn't feel validated. He doesn't feel cared for in this situation at all. He has had moments of sadness, but we constantly remind him of our love in action. That is why I am here today. This could be such a different outcome and has been for another Buffalo family. We must make sure principals are up for the challenge of the job as much as they are for the title and compensation. Supervisors should never be lifelong friends to one another. We must make sure we send a strong message to bullying of any kind. We must seek to help all involved, but make the priority the student who we materialize as being bullied. We must erase all barriers of filling out this paperwork, going here, doing this to bring bullying to the forefront. In my case, there was a video, and still there wasn't enough to prompt an investigation. Me saying I want to have this investigated for physical and cyber bullying was not enough. I was told to go to a website and fill in a form. This is an unnecessary barrier when a parent is present in your office, sitting across from you, and you are DASA coordinator. The young man I represent wasn't offered a tutor, a counselor to speak to after school, a follow-up meeting after time, nothing. He was dismissed because of his trauma and fear to return. No follow-up, no closure, no validation or praise, because there are a lot of things that could have been his retaliation besides staying home. I end with this in my caregiver duties to make sure he was finding wellness without anger. I asked, what would he do different if this happened next time? I held my breath at the response I expected from my bright, beautiful, intelligent, gifted Black young man. I prayed for the best words back to him. He looked at me with his beautiful, absolutely going to be successful face and said, he didn't say, I would do this or do that, or bring this or bring that. The young man said, he said, I
Again, since we're doing things a little different tonight, I don't want to wait until I hear from everyone to respond. So I'll be responding to each of our speakers as you come forward. Ms. McMillan and I spoke at length yesterday, and she texted me today. You got my cell number. That's how serious I am about making sure that we are addressing issues. This is not a game. Bullying is not a game. And it can have a lifelong impact, whether it's on the child, him or herself, or the family. And so what I have committed to you yesterday is to give me an opportunity to look into this. It's not a game. This is serious. This is serious, serious stuff. I got the videos that you texted to me, and I will look into it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McMillan. I too had an opportunity to speak with you, and I'm so glad that you expressed your concern in front of the board tonight. Our families are lifelong family members, and I am a friend of the Muslim community, and you know that. Our next speaker is Brittania Farmer, parent, bullying and harassment. Is she here? Okay, sorry about that. Next, I have Alicia Stewart, sibling of BPS, student athletics and student safety. Followed by her father, John Stewart, parent and concerned citizens. Now, we did get off our little schedule about our time, but we're going to try to get back on, but we will allow you additional time, but let's try to pull it back in.
Is this one working? Alrighty. I'm here today to talk primarily about student athletics and how the rules and regulations for these students are being enforced. I'd like to start with the main role of the athletic board is supposed to oversee all aspects of athletic programs and provide guidance for administration on how to properly enforce rules and regulations, among other things. The criteria for academic eligibility for student athletes is a student must be passing all 4 core subjects with a 65 or better for that period. They must have 95% attendance and no more than 4 tardies to a school month. Student behavior expectations for these athletes and club members are expected to conduct themselves at all times in a manner which will reflect positively on their team, school, and themselves. Any inappropriate behavior, including accusations, involvement with police, and/or arrests, will result in a disciplinary review and be subject to suspension, dismissal from the team or club. All of that being said, on February 15th, 2023, my brother, who's sitting behind me with my father, was violently attacked while walking home from school by another Buffalo Public School student. This student was a varsity athlete last year and is being considered for a starting spot on the football team again this year, after we were told by multiple Buffalo Public School staff members he will not be allowed to play sports due to the fact he is not upholding the code of conduct and is involved in a legal matter after he was arrested for attacking my brother. My question is, where was the person reviewing grades, attendance, and tardies when the student in question missed more than 80% of the school year last year, when the student was technically not eligible for extracurricular activities? Also, who is making sure the students are upholding what is stated in the code of conduct and making sure the policies in the student handbook are being enforced? After speaking with multiple staff members from McKinley High School and members of the athletic board, it seems that many of them are confused on what is even in the code of conduct and student athletic handbook itself. I was told by a member of the athletic board that I was wrong, and they have never heard anything along the lines of legal matters making students ineligible to play sports, and was then told, and I quote, "If you can find such a thing in writing, you're more than welcome to send it to me," which I did, because it's clearly stated in the Buffalo Public School student handbook. My concern is that kids are getting away with a lot more than they should be, and they need to have real world consequences for their actions. If this was an NFL or a professional player and they were involved in legal action, the team would also give punishment.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, yes, he's coming up also, the father. And then the superintendent will address both Stewarts. Thank you. John Stewart, and this is your son? Hi, welcome.
Thank
We're sorry about to hear what happened with your
I
son.
introduce you to my son Owen, who graduated from South Park High School today.
Oh, congratulations.
On February 15th, Owen was walking home from school about a block away from South Park, and the police were taken away about a month prior. They used to have a police presence, and a student who goes to McKinley by the initials of DB, I'm not going to say his name because I'm sure you wouldn't appreciate that. So that's a student with the initials DB, who we've been told is going to be allowed to play next year, which is absolutely ridiculous. Owen is going 3 days a week, has not worked in 6 months, and no one reached out from anybody from the schools except for the lady sitting to the left of you, not in the capacity of the school, as a capacity of a friend. We heard nothing for days. Mr. Morris, nothing. Today I hear Mr. Jenkins talk about, I listen. I talked to him last week. That's all he did was talk. DB can play. Prove it. Tell us he can't. My daughter proved it. He can't. I believe one of you, I'm not sure which one, gave him the okay to play. Now you are saying no. Last week we were told yes. We were told we can't mention names. If we do, we'll be asked to leave, when my daughter got 2 phone calls telling us kind of how to act when we come here, which is ridiculous. You got families here, and we also have videos too. You want to say who called you? Can she say who called her? Who called you and said how, what the rules were?
No, I got a phone call last week from Ms. Watson. Call us.
You weren't allowed to call, so Ms. Watson called on your behalf.
She called on your behalf. Miss Watson did call. She gave us some concern, but I got a phone call from the principal and I got a phone call from also her. And basically what I was told was that the school did everything they could and that they weren't going to do anything else. And the person that I said, and I quote, because I was told that we weren't allowed to name names, was Mr. House, who was here. He told me he has never heard anything about legal matters affecting any student ever playing athletics. And if I was able to find that in writing, then I was more than welcome to send it to him, which I did. And every single board member who I could find their emails. Basically said we don't believe in drowning students, which I completely understand. I don't want to ruin life for making an innocent mistake, but this kid admitted in court, I did what I did because it was and he's a violent offender. He is still going to court for these things, and we are basically told that we don't believe in double and triple edged swords. So if you want anything else done, you're going to have to pursue it like elsewhere.
And that's why that your legal counsel is here today, because as you can tell, this is something, Owen did not deserve this. Walking home alone. Owen also has autism. None of that is brought up. DB gets to walk away and play football and rah, rah, rah for McKinley while Owen is hurt. Owen has thoughts about this every day. Anybody care about that? Then why is he going to play football? Tell me right now he does not deserve to play football. So now I got to shush. Then what's this mean then? Yeah, she's the one that made the decision that he could play, as far as we've been told. As far as we've been told, it came from, you can shake your head all you want. I don't know you.
No, I understand. I understand that you're concerned.
Relax. Is your son the one that's got to wear a sling? If that was your son.
We want to help. We want to help.
I'm going to relax is because Terry is a friend of mine and I love Mrs. Shula. That's great.
We are just trying
Your
to,
son did
Dad.
not get hurt.
Okay. I apologize.
I don't apologize.
Fact.
You had to look at your paper to find my name. Why didn't you? What?
I think that what we need to do, okay? John, really honestly, I have some information I will share with the superintendent of a student from South Park High School who was on his way to college and was going to be all Western New York, and he was involved in an arrest, and he was not able to play. So I think if we have some conversation, that was something that did happen, and I'll discuss that with the superintendent.
I don't doubt you at all. You know that.
This has just been months now, and I have written
It's
emails
frustrating.
to superintendents
None
to
of you
print.
got back.
But you know what, you and I, let's go talk, okay?
The fact that there are a lot of frustrations having to come to the school board.
Well, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming, but we do want to resolve it. We're not the enemy. We're trying to, if the superintendent is just now becoming aware of this.
I have the emails though.
Wait a minute.
With you. No, I'm just saying they have been answered and right. So I'm.
You got to give us a chance. You're coming to us tonight.
Right, but this has been since February. That's my frustration. I've been messaging you and Mr. Jenkins and the athletic board and the school board since February, and we have been told this is all that we can do.
Not by me.
Well, then I have.
So let's give us a chance. This is my first, but this is my first opportunity to look eye to eye with you and to hear from you.
I would just like if you have people speaking on your behalf, so these people then fill you in on situations that are going on. Because I have emails with your name, whether they came from you or not, that they're speaking on your behalf and you have no idea what's even happening.
Well, it's not that I don't have any idea what's happening. So when students engage in altercations or something like what happened, like you shared today, we do have a code of conduct. And the most serious thing that a building principal can do is issue a long-term suspension. That's a level 4 infraction. I believe that may have happened.
But a suspension for a kid who didn't go to school anyways.
So I'm hearing that you are looking for something to happen on top of the
Because I was told
long-term
by Mr.
suspension.
Jenkins, yes, and the football coach. I spoke with him as well, and they both said that football will be the least of his worries because the way that he violently attacked my brother, and we also have videos to prove it. This boy is 6 foot tall, picked my brother up clear over his head and slammed him so hard on the ground it separated his shoulder in 3 separate places. And they said the way that he did that was exactly how he would body slam.
Okay.
Jersey on and represent their school. I was told with sheer certainty that come June and comes the principal's guest that he will most likely be playing. Yes, he's attending camps. He's okay.
Okay. So you understand how this works, right? The superintendent reports to the board. The board has to see what the superintendent does. You have Terry Schuter, who's going to monitor that. Okay. For the first time, I'm just hearing about this. I have apologized to this young man, shook his hand, and he allowed me to hug him. And he assured me that he's not going to let anybody get in his way from doing his and enjoying his life and moving his future to the next. And that's the type of optimism. And he apologized to your dad, but you don't have to apologize to your dad for advocating for
Just
you.
a lot of frustration.
That's what he's supposed to do. That's what parents do, and we respect that. We're parents too, okay? And so I want you to remember what we, you're going to continue, but we'll move this forward. The superintendent, we have confidence in her that she'll do it, and Terry, as board member, will monitor it, and I, along with her, will keep it. Thank you for coming. We're sorry that this happened to your family. Thank you. It's okay, Mr. Stewart. It's okay. You can advocate for your kid. We're used to it. Trust me, we are. We don't have a problem with parents. I had sons. I had to do what I had to do for mine too. Okay? Don't think we're thin-skinned. It's part of being an elected official. You have to have thick skin. You really do. This is, so next, we're moving on. And we have a family member in here, Casimirio Rodriguez, concerned citizen and community concern. Welcome.
Can everyone hear me? Before you start the clock, Madam Superintendent, your opening remarks and your report. It's so fitting to recognize individuals. And I have to say, I have to congratulate Mike Anastasia and the HR department. We have spent long hours, many days, working on plans to recruit and populate and help, we really appreciate that as a community. Just want you to know that. And congratulations to all the students that were recognized today, okay? To take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to you, Madam Superintendent, and the fellow board members. I like this setup. You should do this more often. And especially the district administrative personnel, which I know very well. It's good to know who you work with and who our staff is. And to all whom are gathered here today, parents and community. I'd like to begin my remarks this evening with one of my favorite quotes. And it's from an Anglo-Irish statesman, economist, and philosopher. His name is Sir Edmund Burke. There's a quote that really resonates. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Let me tell you, this whole board, the administration, and you, good people, okay?
This quote resonates in me as I stand before you today. It's a statement that speaks volumes, especially to the relationship that we have built throughout the years as a community with the superintendent of the Buffalo Public Schools, regardless who's held that position. This honorable board and each department of the school district. It's been a relationship of openness, trust, and loyalty to one another, focusing on one and most important objective, and that is the best education and resources our children deserve within the Buffalo School District. We have worked tirelessly to bring some of the best professionals to teach our children because we recognize the needs in the classroom. And we've done this together. We have worked to strengthen our multilingual and bilingual programs within the schools. Worked on developing a curriculum. With Dr. Fatima Morel, is she here? That represents our roots as Latinos, so that our children can see and understand themselves so that they can become the leaders for a community that awaits them. And just recently, worked jointly to embark several dozen of the young men and women students of our schools for an experience of a lifetime, a trip to our native land, Puerto Rico, on a program that is called our Story Project. Also just recently partnering with the BPS HR to develop paths and careers to meet the demand of the teacher shortages and support staff. And our efforts do not end there, because we both believe that together we can do much more for the future of each and every child in the Buffalo Public School District. This brings me to the reason why I'm here today. May 17th, 2023. I know we all hold that day very close to our hearts. Was a dark day for our community. In a month that we nationally recognize mental health awareness. May is Mental Health Awareness. A young man by Dariel Joel Reyes took his future in his own hands and ended his life. I can't begin to comprehend what's going on through his mind, his mental state. Till this day, I'm trying to understand that. And I know that's affected all of us. Affected our district, affected each and every one of us, and it's affected us as a community. I'm not here tonight to point blame, criticize, or single out anyone. We all know the difficulties that our new superintendent and this board inherited. However, one thing I do know, and that is we as advocates, educators, and governing bodies in any institution, whether private or public, need to do more to ensure that these situations do not happen. We need to all engage into a coordinated, positive, and collective manner, not just for a few days while this experience lives in our memory, but for every day. All our children and their families are engaged in schooling and learning. District, principals, teachers, parents, and the community. Working together, we're gonna make a difference. And that's what I'm here to say today, okay? Thank you very much for this opportunity. When I address this body, I feel at home because I know each and every one of you, okay? And I really appreciate that. Thank you and God bless you.
Kaz, we do feel your family. You're part of our family. And when you speak, we listen. I listen. And as always, we appreciate the advocacy. I see you're sitting next to Dr. Caban, who I also have a lot of respect for. We appreciate your support, guidance, and advocacy. There hasn't been a time that I've asked you if I need to, come into the community and speak, that you're not, holding my hand and making sure that what we ask for, we get. In turn, what you have asked for, you will get. And that is that we will be taking it to a new level and we will do more. We have to. We have to. Thank you.
Testing.
President Spidell.
Thank you, Superintendent, Board. All I can say is sorry for your loss. I don't know how I can help your family. This is a very sad day for you, I'm sure. If there's anything the DPC could do to support you, feel free to reach out to us. To the mom, sorry your son had to deal with that. And I'm hoping that the district will do the right thing and we can move forward to better your son's life. Okay? Wow, it's a tough night, right? So I first want to thank the superintendent and the cabinet members and parent Congress. We spent a couple hours together the other day. It was helpful to us. I think we become closer and we understand each other better from that experience. I want to thank Paulette Woods for helping a parent with the concern or access to her school. So thank you, Paulette. That meant a lot to the mother on Friday. I asked the board or asked the superintendent to ask the buildings to have a unified celebration for yearly events. As a parent, we expect certain things, and it's not fair that if our kid doesn't go to a certain school that we can't get these things. So we just ask next year that we can do that. I could say a million things, but I'm gonna leave it at, sorry for the families, and thank you.
President Spidell. As always, President of our District Parenting Council, Mr. Spidell, thank you. It is a tough night. And sometimes you have to have tough nights to see meaningful and beautiful sunsets or sunrises the next day. So, I don't shy away from tough nights. I think tough nights make better days. So I appreciate all that you shared. You shared with me in the past that you would like to see some things standardized, and that's something that I believe we'll be able to work on getting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Our next speaker is Jessica Bauer Walker, parent putting children and family first, followed by Alexandra Gomez, teacher focusing on 5 by 25. Thank you.
Good evening. Superintendent, thank you for acknowledging what we're dealing with right now. Thank you, Board President Kottman, for coming down and being with the people. We're dealing with challenging and messy times, and we just have to keep moving through it. So I want to start with some words by Langston Hughes, who said, "I am so tired of waiting, aren't you, for the world to become good and beautiful and kind. Let us take a knife and cut the world in two and see what worms are eating at the rind." So first, I wanted to just acknowledge the family of Dariel Reyes Rivera. I've had a chance to spend some time communicating with the family and just holding space for such a tragic, unimaginable. And we are so sorry, and we are here from you. Ms. McMillan, I am also a parent at School 45, and I'm aware of the situation, and I'm so sorry that we couldn't proactively resolve it and try to heal it more quickly. We are in a lot of pain right now. We are not well. I was at Juneteenth this weekend and watching while you were in the parade, there was quite a bit going on in the park, and our children they need help. We're not well. We're suffering. And this is not about any one person. Not one of us can fix this. And Dr. Williams, I appreciate you coming into space with us yesterday, being in a restorative conference. You come and sat with our students, where President Kottman has come sat with our students. One person can't fix this. We are in a system fail, y'all. We have got to deal with healing our children. I was with a group of frontline people who work with youth in different capacities earlier today, and the stories that were coming out, we are not okay, and we need to do something different. And I'm asking you for us to lean into love instead of punishing our children, because I hear some of the stuff that's going on, and it is wild. It really is. Restorative responses do not mean not doing anything. They do not mean that there's not accountability, and we don't know how to do it. We do not know how to lean into conflict, have generative conflict, have things be complex and messy like they have been tonight. So I appreciate you, Superintendent, for holding space for that. We need to work through this. We need to, we lost one of our children. We've lost several children, but this situation is tragic. Family has had to go through. And when we lose a child, everything has got to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop defending the system and ourselves and saying what person did this or that. We're failing. We're failing our children right now. So I am asking us to please come together collectively and make a radical change. We have to do this with some sense of urgency. We have to operate differently, because what we're doing, it's not fast enough. We're losing our kids. We can't push them out of school. We can't use punitive responses. I'm watching children this weekend be tackled by police and security. It broke my heart. It was so hurtful. I was there with my student community health, my daughter, and one of our other student community health workers. I can't have them witnessing that. We have. So I want you to understand, when we come here as parent advocates, we're not here attacking anybody personally. We're not here attacking the district. We love the district. But when we talk about equity, we need to shine a light on some of these dark and difficult things. And we're coming here in a spirit of love. We don't always agree with each other. We see things differently. But I could see from yesterday, sitting in circle with the superintendent, other parent leaders, cabinet members, we can do this. But it's going to be hard. It might get worse before it gets better. So please listen to our parents who are in pain. Like, let's all work together. Let's find a way that we all come into space together. Let's listen to our students, especially who are struggling. Let's not suspend them for insubordination and disrespect when they're trying to find a way to talk to us. And we send them home, we push them out, right? These kids who are bullying, they need help. They ain't right. They need our help, just like the kids that are victims. We got to come up with a way to do it. We've got the tools. Restorative justice works when we do it. We need to learn how to practice and do it. We have a good code of conduct. We have a good wellness policy. We can bring back school wellness teams, have everybody working together so that every single one of our children is healthy, safe, and supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Walker. I agree that one person can't do it all. It will take a collective, all of us working together. And, we're in post-pandemic, and you're right in saying that our children are hurting. And post-pandemic issues can't be treated the same as pre-pandemic issues were. We're in a different time, in a different space. And so I appreciate the comments. The district has always been at the table. We've always been at the table, or at least since July 20th, 2022. We've been at the table. So there are seats that are open. We're open to working together for the betterment of all of our children. That's what we want. That's what we all want. That's what this work is about. It's not about titles, egos, none of that. So it's about, at the end of the day, helping to make sure that all of our children are okay. That's what I want, that's what you want, and that's what our parents demand. They want our children to be okay. And like I shared earlier, things that keep me up at night are not so much test scores. We've got certified, licensed, highly qualified teachers who are teaching. It's the wellness. It's the wellness. It's the safety of our kids. That's what keeps me up. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Wow. Alexandra Gomez, teacher. Welcome. And focusing in 5 by 25. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me tonight, Dr. Williams and school board. The time that you have given me.
Who do you have with you?
I have Blanca tonight. She was unable to sign up to speak, but she is standing here. I support my students. I support my families to the best of my abilities, and I will continue to support my families. And Dariel Rivera's family is also here, so I want everyone to see them and acknowledge them. Por favor, ¿se pueden parar, familia? This is Dariel Rivera Reyes' family that is here tonight and has been here because they have a voice and they want to be heard. Blanca wants to be heard.
So do you have something you want to say?
I do.
Because the board can afford her time to speak if she would like to.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name, again, is Alexandra Gomez. I have worked for BPS for over 12 years, actually 13 years. And my current title is a bilingual special education teacher at the elementary level. I serve as an educator and an advocate for my students to ensure they receive an equitable education so that they can feel successful academically and on a social and emotional level. My focus today is primarily on goal 3 of our 5 by 25 goals. That is, prioritize safety, security, and wellness by implementing best-in-class safety, security, and wellness practices. Given the recent tragic loss of Dariel Rivera Reyes at School 48, I would like to point out that we are a very long way away from addressing the goal. Teaching is not an easy task, but returning to in-person teaching after a pandemic has been exceptionally difficult. We have children that have been exposed to and experience all sorts of inappropriate adverse situations while at home for 2 years that no child should ever experience. This has presented schools with an unfathomable challenges and a rise in social and behavioral imbalances on top of the academic challenges. This imbalance has strained our already limited or scarce resources for our students and families, and especially for our neediest families that include multilingual, non-English speaking, and newcomer populations. Dariel was my brilliant student. And I'm so sorry. I've turned our home together. The night of May 17th, I was not going to return. But I had to be there for my students, and I continue to be there. but it is one of the most difficult experiences of my life, of my entire career. Post-tragedy is not the right time to be told that resources are available throughout our community. Why aren't all teachers told where and how to access these resources, partnerships, community stakeholders prior to horrific instances of egregious acts towards others? Why are we waiting to provide resources to fix problems at the high school levels when the problems are starting in our primary schools? Our goal should be to be proactive and find root causes for behavioral challenges in hopes that we have positive outcomes before a tragedy occurs. This problem is not unique to School 48. It is a problem district. Our children are not okay. We are not okay. We need to know how to access these resources. We need partnerships explained. We need advocacy. We need these resources, partnerships, intervention programs implemented at our school community and all other underserved schools. We need equitable outcomes for all, and with that, address and better explain strategic plan goals 3, 4, and 5. And I did, to put together my words, I did have additional questions. I knew that there was limitation, and I asked your permission to be able to forward additional questions regarding the goals. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Ms. Blanca, would you like to address? Would you like to share anything?
What I would.
That's okay.
But I know that she will continue, as difficult as it is, as you can see right now.
Se me hace un poco difícil hablar. Eso está muy reciente, muy doloroso y muy duro.
Painful, too recent, and extremely terrible.
Quiero que sepan que Dariel era un niño, además de hermoso, muy amoroso y un niño muy educado.
Ariel was a loving child, well-mannered, loving.
Dariel no merecía lo que le pasó.
Dariel did not deserve.
El día que me tuve que encontrar a Dariel en ese baño, en la situación en que lo encontré, él no sabe que me arrancó el corazón, me arrancó la vida.
She found him was the day that a piece of her heart died. It's the most painful experience for her.
Yo no estoy aquí como si fuera él alzando su voz para pedirle al Departamento de Educación de la manera más humilde y de todo corazón que trabajen con los casos de bullying.
She stands here pleading that action to implement change so that no other family
Yo sé, ya no hay nada que hacer, pero yo sé que el caso de Dariel, si se hubiese trabajado como se tenía que trabajar, Dariel estuviera ahora mismo conmigo.
if all the way they should he would have been here her. And her goal is she's asking for change. It's not to put blame on it because we are one. We need to unite. It's not teachers versus admin versus apologies to school board. We are one. We are here for one purpose. We need to advocate for our students as one and not as separate divisions.
El Departamento de Educación debe trabajar más con la escuela, con el estudiante, con padres, maestros, comunidad, unirse todos, que sean todos una sola cadena.
The school board needs to unite as with parents, students, administration, teachers, a community as a whole. We need to unite.
Quiero alzar la voz por Dariel porque yo quiero que no haya ni un niño más, no haya una madre más sufriendo como yo.
If we do not focus on uniting for change, these issues will continue to come up. We will continue to see this over and over as we have already. One student lost, one student hurt is one too many. We need to unite for change. Dariel, she cannot get him back, but she is his voice now, and her voice is shouting loud and as far as it'll take her.
Y yo digo que esto va más allá de estar pegando, pues en la escuela sí se puede, pero más allá de estar pegando letreritos, no bullying, no bullying, no bullying, no. Esto es llevar la voz, trabajar con los casos, no coger un caso y engavetarlo.
It goes beyond posters and bulletins. Words are meaningless without action. We need action, and we need it now.
Le doy mis más expresivas gracias por escuchar mi voz y espero que el departamento haga lo que tiene que hacer y que no se escuche que haya un niño más.
She thanks you for allowing her the opportunity to speak tonight. She is hoping that we can all unite to change or to implement changes and procedures so that no family has to go through what she is going through right now, what her family is going through. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Gomez, she can.
Fatima, would you come up, please, and interpret for the superintendent? I know you will. You're pretty fluent. And what she doesn't catch, the teacher will catch. Oh, here come Perez. Okay, good. Thank you.
Sure, yes. So Mr. Perez has been right by the side of this family since May 17th. Ms. Gomez, thank you for what you do for your children, not just teaching, but what I can see is it is much more than just teaching. You love and you care about your children and their families. And for that, I applaud you. I applaud you. So, I heard Ms. Bauer Walker say that at the Juneteenth you saw something that broke your heart. And what that tells me is that the issues are not just Buffalo Public School issues, it is a community that must come together, support each other, and in the words of, I call her Miss Blanca, unite. We must. We must. I talked on the night that I was appointed about all of us linking arms, regardless of language, race, zip code, color, all of us linking arms together to be a bridge for our children, a bridge towards health, wellness, and a better life. And here I sit 11 months later, and I'm still saying it. Dariel's young life has touched so many people, a whole city, 30,000 children, second largest district in New York State has been touched by this one young man. He will not be forgotten. I said to you sitting in your living room, it will not be a one and done. I've talked to Mr. Perez and I've let him know that in July, I just wanted to give the family time to breathe, that I wanted us to sit again and talk about how you would like to see us support all that Dariel means so that no other child. Mrs. McMillan came up tonight and talked about an issue that, thank heavens, the outcome is different. We will sit and we will talk. And again, it will not just be a one and done. I want this to be ongoing beyond the bulletin boards, beyond the posters. It starts with policies, which is the role of our board, to review and develop policies, because then we hold everybody accountable for making sure that the system works the way it's supposed to work. It will go beyond bulletin boards and posters, and we will sit And Mrs. Gomez, I invite you to be a part of the conversation. I can see what an advocate the family has in you. And we will talk about how we forever and ever, because Buffalo Public Schools is forever changed by the events that happened on May 17th. So we'll be reaching out. If you would like to have Mr. Rodriguez, we'll all sit and talk about how we, Ms. Bauer Walker would like to be there, can collectively work together. Who needs to be at the table so that this does not ever happen again? At least we will have done everything that we can do to ensure that our children know that they have help. They have help. And our staff knows what to do should children feel like they're in trouble. And our parents know how to navigate and get to who they need to get get the help that's needed. This is a tough night. It's a tough night. But we will meet in a couple of weeks. So think about some things, some ways that we can work together, and you bring whoever you would like to bring to the table, and we'll work together collectively on an ongoing basis, not just next month, to develop systems, policies to address when our children are in trouble. Thank you to the family. I know that this was not easy coming here tonight. That's her mom. That's your mom? Wow. We want to acknowledge your mom coming out tonight. If we could all stand. What? Oh, we got to sing happy birthday. We got to sing. Wow. Okay, on three, we're going to sing. One, I don't know how to sing it in Spanish, but she'll get the rhythm of the happy birthday. Are you going to sing it by yourself? Okay. You don't need the mic. To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, thank you. Did she want to say something on her birthday, Mr. Perez? Did she want to say something to the board? Gracias. Gracias. Wow.
Hmm. We will wait until our birthday lady sit before we call our next person. Thank you so much. In so many ways, out of the ashes rise the phoenix. We know we have work to do. Next speaker is Saria Walker, student. Who is she?
Hello, my name is Saria. I'm a student that currently attends performing arts. I'm also here today to talk about Dariel Rivera Reyes, a 12-year-old boy in the 6th grade who attended MOK. I wanted to just spread his story because I feel like it deserves to be heard no matter how many times. He was being bullied by some kids, one kid in particular, at school and online every day for months before committing suicide. The bullying situation was reported multiple times before his suicide, and still not enough was done. A quick suspension and return to school for the child harassing Dariel was a small band-aid over a big wound. Verbally and physically abused by these kids, the main child that was harassing actually showed up to his house on 2 occasions and stole his bicycle on 1 occasion. It's not clear if that was done alone. Phone, making threats that his grandparents couldn't even understand because they don't speak English. Dariel's grandmother was also called into school once for a bullying incident, speaking to a person from the school who claimed they would get back to her with a resolution, and they never called her back. There was multiple instances where the situation could have been taken more seriously, but that wasn't a priority for the school, and even after his suicide, there wasn't a lot of coverage on the situation until recently. There was an article on the Buffalo News about this young boy and his story. I would suggest that you all go read it. As someone who went through a very similar situation, I know what it feels like to be failed by the system, except I am here today to be able to tell his story, and he is not. This is a too common situation. I hear about the support towards mental health, students and families, but where's the support from the higher people up when it's really needed in certain areas at the time? If the people are saying they don't feel supported, then we don't feel supported. As much work that is done, there's always room for improvement and an open mind to new ideas and approaches. We as a community all need help. It's not just one person. Everyone involved in this situation needs help. And what help looks like is a separate conversation for another day. I know when I finally got the support I needed, it improved my situation not to be alone. And I've had some great adults that I've worked with in my life and in the schools. But the first step is actually listening to our children, which is not done as much as it's preached. Bullying in similar situations like this don't tend to get the acknowledgement it needs until someone hurts themselves or others. When a kid needs help, let's get them the real help that they need before it's too late. Take this as a call for help and not criticism, because you're not always under attack. We may not always be on the same page from the start, but we do want the same outcomes. Thank you for your time and open mind.
Thank you, Saria. In our strategic plan, we talk about lifting student voice matters. Sometimes student voice can shape and change policies. And so I know it takes a lot of courage to come before the board and to share your truths. So I appreciate you coming before us. And you said a lot, but there's one question you asked that I'd like to follow up with you at some point on. And you said, or you asked, what does help look like? What does help look like? I don't know if there's one answer on exactly what help looks like, but I would at some point soon like to sit and talk and hear from a young person's standpoint what help could or should look like. So I'll be following up for us to have that kind of conversation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our final speaker for the night is Rahina Kanishai. Please correct me.
Kashindi.
Kashindi. I got the first one right? Okay, thank you. On mental health, thank you.
My name is Rahima Kashindi, and I'm from Congo and Burundi. So, sorry. So English isn't my first language, so I might make a mistake. I'm from Congo and Burundi, and I go to Hutch Tech, and I major in like biochemical engineering. So, as I'm sure you've heard of the tragic situation regarding Dariel Rivera Reyes, we send our condolences and we stand in solidarity with them in an attempt to support the family as much as we can. This tragedy brings to a head an extremely important issue that, as a community, a district, a nation, we have been plagued with. We cannot point fingers to a specific person or body. It is important to stand together and take accountability, as well as search earnestly for ways to assist and make a difference. It is also significant to be able to think about not just what we can do as a community support, but also as individuals with loved ones. I understand you are all important, distinguished members of the school board, but you are also mothers, sisters, and friends. And to really bring that aspect of emotion and understanding into the way situations are handled can genuinely save lives. I feel as the reason and the place we're coming from has a big impact on how our words are received. Although I understand as a board, it is difficult to act on so many schools when it's such a large district, and there's a lot of things and a lot of approaches and trainings that can be implemented, especially when it means the life of 30,000 children. We often hear numbers that big and our mind disregards them. The 30,000 kids in BPS school district includes your daughters, sons, nephews, nieces, godchildren, grandchildren, and generations after. So how do we protect our loved ones? A key factor in helping our families stay safe are trauma-informed responses. A trauma-informed response is a response that mainly includes sympathy and empathy, meaning even if you don't know someone's situation or where they might be coming from, you ask what happened before you ask what's wrong with them. I'm really drawn to this approach. I think it's especially important nowadays because there's so much stress and anxiety that kids are under, as well as adults, especially if you're a caretaker. So when we speak to people in a sympathetic, tactful, and understanding way, it helps, especially like my mom says, to season your words with salt so it makes it more palatable. When you attempt to see someone's character before you see the labels the world has placed on them, you already created a safe environment for conflict resolution. In the midst of all these issues and tragedies, all the good things that are being done can be lost. So as important as it is to lift up the disparities, it is also important to lift up the positive side of things and create more positive things in the districts to talk about. Thank you so much.
Buffalo Public Schools has some really smart, intelligent, well-informed students. Thank you for the research that I can see that you've done on empathy. And it's interesting because I've been in talks with our chief academic officer about us creating a course in empathy that all of our students have to take. So we're in talks about it. Empathy is a really important skill, and it can be taught. It's not innate, it can be taught. So thank you. And when I meet with Saria, I think you would be a great addition to that conversation. So we'll be meeting this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. The board will return to the table at this point. Thank you. All speakers, thank you. The board is going to take a 5-minute break, a recess break, and we will resume shortly. Sorry about that. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Terry Schuler, second by Mr. Hurd. All in favor? Okay, moving forward. Mr. Hurd, question number 19H. Equal Opportunity School.
Thank you. I'm gonna make my questions quick tonight. My questions about the Equal Opportunity Schools is based upon the AP classes for. Based upon the AP classes, which I'm in total agreement with. But for the modified sports to work, we need the AP classes for the 7th and 8th grade also. So I just want the district to take a look and see what we can do about bringing AP classes into the 7th and 8th grade to all our elementary programs. Okay, can we have that conversation possibly tomorrow, if it's okay? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So your response to that question briefly was that, please explain your.
He asked about equal opportunity schools, and that's the program that we use to support AP enrollment in our high schools. And he asked if we could bring it down to 7th and 8th, but those are college level courses, so I'm not sure that they would really fit well with our middle school program.
Thank you. Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but they do have AP courses, classes for the 7th and 8th grade.
No, I'm
Right
not
now.
aware of any that exist.
Okay. Take a deeper dive. Thank you.
19L, Youth Risk Behavior Survey and Evaluation. Mr. Hurd.
Okay, especially with the board meeting tonight and the critical things that we're dealing with in this district. I would like to take this data, and I spoke with legal counsel, Mr. Kuzma, about the possibility of this district looking into having a risk health assessment for every child in the district in the year. So I would like to speak with the superintendent about that possibility. And I believe it's a great need that every child have a risk assessment for mental health in the future here in the city of Buffalo, going out the school year.
I'm sorry. I heard, did you hear him, Dr. Brown?
I heard a little bit, but not fully.
So,
A youth
Hurd,
risk
when you
behavior
speak, could
survey
you
for
hold
every.
your mic down like this and just speak like the regular
I'll just speak loud.
Yeah. Why don't you just hold your mic down so people.
Yeah. I said, especially with the incident that we're dealing with this evening, and a lot of things that's going on with our district as far as mental health. I would like to. I spoke with Mr. Kuzma about the possibility of having a risk assessment evaluation for every child in the district. So I would like the district to take a look and see what we can do. Maybe have a workshop or speak with the superintendent about the possibilities of having a program. I don't know how it could be funded. We need to speak with the governor, the county, but just have a risk assessment evaluation for every child in the district so we can do some preventive measures and proactive.
Yes, we definitely have the youth risk behavior survey that's administered every 2 years, and we're coming up this fall. Also, we have a social emotional learning screener that we collaborated with the special education department, and that is being administered now. So yes, we definitely can look into that. Okay.
Dr. Brown, one other thing.
Yes.
Before the questions are finalized, can the board at least bring it to maybe our committee, our educational support for your staff to have a conversation and make sure that the board's questions that they originally wanted to be in that are in that risk assessment this year?
Sure.
There were questions about, I remember right, we were concerned about trafficking. We were concerned about certain questions that just deal with our community, considering that this is a survey that is done statewide. Okay, and the majority of the state is not made up of urban school districts. So we want to make sure that our children's needs are met in that conversation.
Absolutely.
So maybe working with board member Shuda and her committee, you can move it forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you, appreciate that. Next question or concern is 22A, lease and operating for PS 355 Buffalo School of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management. And B, lease for apartment connected to PS number 355 Buffalo School of Culinary Arts and Hospitality Management. Terrence Hurd.
Yes, I reached out to Will Caresses. I would like to see if there's an opportunity that we can try to renegotiate that lease with the Emerson the building. I know that it's a new facility, state of the art, 6 floors, but it's a possibility we can take a dive into trying to renegotiate that lease because it's kind of extensive.
So, Mr. Kuzman, I think there's a question about a lease and renegotiating a lease.
I believe it will reflect to A, D, and E. It all reflects on the lease.
There's the Buffalo Culinary lease, and then there's the apartment lease, and then there's the Emerson lease. The Buffalo Culinary lease has, I believe, 12 years left on it. The Emerson Chippewa lease is up, I believe, in 2025. It's up in 2028. So at that point, we can renegotiate that lease.
The last part.
The Chippewa lease is up in 2028 for 70 Chippewa. The Emerson Commons lease.
I was just asking if it's possible if the district could take a dive into try to renegotiate the lease because it's extensive and maybe we can come up with some better numbers.
Yeah, we've done some study on the space utilization at Emerson, and we are looking at how we can better position ourselves. So yes.
Thank you.
So on this point with these leases, I guess I remember when the apartment was in, I thought originally the apartment was included in the money that was given back to the owner. It was part of an agreement. I never thought that we had to pay extra for it, so that surprised me. I guess I'm confused about it.
So that you all can hear me.
You have. Okay.
Utilized by the landlord because of various tax credits that
Mm-hmm.
and we do utilize that. I think you might know more than I.
Yeah, I'm familiar with how it's being utilized. I've been in the building. Yes, I have. Okay, thank you. Stay there. 22D, lease and operating costs for Emerson School of Hospitality, number 302. And number E, supplemental board rec, lease and operating costs for Emerson School of Hospitality, number 302, Terrence Hurd.
I just addressed that in the previous question, and I believe we can tie A, B, D, and E together.
Thank you. I'd like to, I have a question for 23A, or more of a comment. Staff parking for teachers and staff at the School of Culinary Arts and Hospitality in Hutchinson Tech. I guess my concern is that there are the inability of staff to utilize the parking, the paid parking that we have. Board member Shuter and I often try to have meetings or meet with people at the culinary school to only find out that the security officer, the one who should be making sure that the building follows rules and regulations, is a primary abuser of blocking the flow of traffic in and out of that building by parking there every day. In addition to that, how are we supposed to grow a business if people cannot have access to it. So we end up paying for parking because he's parking there. And I've talked to Fred, I've talked to Chief Lark about it. I've talked to the assistant principal at the building. No one can do anything to control the staff that is utilizing the parking that should be available for patrons. And I don't understand why we're paying for this if staff is not going to use the spots that we're paying for. Okay, it's just counterproductive. It's counterproductive. And there, it appears that it's okay that they don't utilize the parking spots that we are paying, what is it, upwards of, what is it, I can't even remember, $45,000 or something a year in this particular contract. So for whatever reason, staff is being allowed to park in those spots that should be available for customers who want to come in and patronize our building. It needs to cease. It needs to cease immediately. Staff has been talked to. One of them is here tonight, continues to do it, occupies 2 spots with their car because their car is a big car, big truck. And nobody cares that the customers can't get in and out except for us, I guess, because when we try to have a meeting, we end up not having access to parking because you have at least 3 or 4 staff members sitting there, parking there every morning. It's unacceptable, and it needs to be fixed. If the city needs to put up a sign or whatever needs to be done, but we're not going to pay for parking that staff is not using. It's just not fair, and it's not helping to grow our business at that site. And that's and I really wish it would be addressed. I spoke to security over a month ago, and nothing has been done. It's been almost 2 months now, and nothing has happened. And this needs to be fixed. Staff cannot utilize parking spots that should be there for patrons, period, the end. It's not right.
So there are spots in direct proximity to the building that are reserved for parent visitors and also for staff members that have in their contract reserved spots that need to be in proximity to building. So those spots are part of it. The rest of the spots, because parking is very expensive in that area, for staff, for substitutes, are in the ramp then for everyone else.
Right, but it's not happening. Staff is not utilizing the spots that we're paying for, is my point.
Understood.
And it has to stop. And the assistant principal told me it's not, what happens outside the building is not his problem. That's a no-no too, okay? Because he is responsible for what happens outside that building. So thank you. Next, 23H, HUDL Technology Services.
So
Mr.
those are the huddle cameras that we had to make sure we had an electrical contract to install them at each location. They're for game management. For Mike House could speak to it better. I don't know if Charlene wants to speak to it, but for game management, for everything, we were only able to install them at Riverside and All High. This is for getting the rest of the cameras in.
Okay, Mr. Hills, I know the importance of huddle and how it will serve our schools, but I want to make sure that now we have it for all our high schools and swim programs. Is this what this attaches to?
So the cameras have been purchased. This is for the installation. We're being able to put them in at all the sites. I don't have a list of whether it's in the pools also. I do know that Bike House has that distribution of them.
Okay, I remember we went through this last month where this was, we paid a price for the installation of it at All High and Riverside. So is this the same?
It's the same cameras. We had actually installed those cameras on an emergency basis. Ferguson Electric had done that. So that was to pay them for work they had actually done last September on those 2 locations. This is for the rest of our locations.
Okay. So do we have Hurdle for all of our high schools here in the city of Buffalo now?
Yes, but I cannot speak to whether it's in the polls.
Okay, and the swimming programs also?
I don't know if the list is in the polls.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll get back to that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Number 24B, four-year financial plan, 2023-24 to 2026-27. Terrence Hurd.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that I did take another dive into the financial plan, and I just want to make sure it was reported that superintendent that we have over 1,200 refugees here in Erie County right now, and we expected more that's going to be coming from New York City. That's coming from the Mexico border. That we can possibly fit these individuals into a plan if they're going to be relocated here to Buffalo, New York. And so part of this financial plan, I'm not quite sure how many compass or how many people may come, but it seems that more immigrants are trending to this area, and that we can fiscally, support them also. So if we can take a dive and see where we're at with that.
Okay. In the financial plan, Mr. Hurd, those new refugees are not included in the student counts. Our financial plan is historically, and again this year, is very conservative based. We utilize the current trend, the historical numbers in our beds counts, and trend that out, and those are decreasing by 200 students per year. That impacts, you'll see that in the expenditure assumptions as well as the foundation aid assumptions. So those students are not included in that four-year plan.
So what can we do to accommodate those students if we have more students that'll be entering into the Buffalo Public Schools? We'll be able to balance our budget at the same time educating those individuals that will come and may be far behind, educationally by age.
Yes, when we get a firmer handle on exactly how many students would be coming into the district, the school-based budget numbers would be adjusted. And right now, there is excess capacity in each of the schools from our school-based budget numbers. So a lot of them can be absorbed, but anything over and above, we would have to budget for additional expenditures.
And do you think there's a need for a new English language learners when they come into this area, into the district, that we have programs set up for them already?
That would be a curriculum question. Again, depending upon when we get a firm and realistic number on the quantity of the children and their needs, that's all part of the school-based budget and their needs assessment. So.
Depending on the choice of the parent, if they would want to go into a bilingual program for Spanish speakers, there would be seats available. And if they choose just to do straight ENL, we have seats across the district. So we would be able to serve them.
Okay, thank you. I just want to be prepared just in case we get an influx of immigrants coming to the area and to this Buffalo school system, that we'd be able to adequately educate them and get them on course.
Sure.
Thank you. Let's see, any others? No. So I just want to point out, board members, and to our audience, that item number 26, which Mr. Kuzman, I'd like to vote on this complete slate, not separately, if it's okay with you. That it is the Buffalo Board of Education resolution regarding effective school board governance, that the board has agreed to go forward to try to work to help improve our student outcomes. And so that's included in this package. And kudos to the board for being willful and mindful to handle this. It's going to be some work, but I think we're going to enjoy the process. So without further ado, may I have a vote in regards to approving the consent agenda? Mr. Cruz, take your turn. Yes, we already did the motion.
Just a note, I think 11J has been pulled also from the consent agenda. With that, on the consent agenda, how do you vote, Mr. Terrence Hurd?
I'd like to recuse myself from 11A, 11B, 9A, 19R, and 19AA. Other than that, I vote yes.
Okay, can you give some general reason why for the recusals? Are they all related to the same thing, or?
Yes, they are affiliation.
Ms. McEachen? For the record, that's no exceptions. Mrs. Shuda? No exceptions. Mr. Scott?
No exceptions.
Ms. Woods?
No exceptions.
President Belton Common?
Yes, I'd like to recuse myself from item 9B, line 5, reason family relative. Other than that, no exceptions.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda passes.
Thank you. The board has agreed to waive the committee reports today. However, we do have some motions we need to do. We'll finalize that with the bereavement report, and then we will conclude our meeting. Mr. Scott, do you have an item that the board needs to consider?
Yes, the motion.
Yes, sir.
Can I have a motion to approve attendance by any board member that wishes to attend the following during the 2023-24 fiscal year? New York State School Boards Association regional workshops, meetings, and conferences, Erie County Association of School Boards regional workshops, meetings, and conferences, Council of Big Five School Districts workshops, meetings, and conferences, Council of Great City Schools workshops, meetings, and conferences, and National School Boards Association workshops, meetings, and conferences.
Second, Paulette Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All approved. Next, Mr. Hurd.
I would like to make a motion that we can purchase tables for 10 for the value of $850 at the NAACP Medgar Evers Award Dinner on June 24th, 2023.
Second, Medgar Evers table, $850 for June the 26th, right?
June 24th.
24th. All in, second, Cindy seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? This is something, by the way, that we've done every year for the past, how many years? 17? Longer than that, yeah. NAACP. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Are all in favor? Yes. Thank you. No opposed, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kuzma, do I need to do each one of these individually? Okay, so I need a motion authorizing the superintendent to prefer section 75 discipline charges against employee DP.
So moved.
So move, Mr. Scott, second by Terry Schuler. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Mr. Kuzman, number 2, may I have a motion authorizing the superintendent to prefer section 75 discipline charges against employee P, initials PW?
So moved.
So move, Larry, second by board member Cindy McEachen. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 3, may I have a motion authorizing the district to pay up to $21,500 to fully settle litigation with index number 1810529/2019?
So moved.
So move, second by Paulette Woods. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. Number 4, May I have a motion authorizing the district to pay up to $90,000 to fully settle litigations with index number 1804822/2020?
So moved.
So moved by Larry, second by Terry Schuler. All in favor? Any opposed? None. Okay. Number 5, may I have a motion authorizing the district to pay up to $40,000 to fully settle litigation with index number 1809822/2020?
So moved.
Larry, Scott, Terrence heard second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. No one is opposed. Mr. Kuzman, the motions have been approved by the board. Is there any other order of business that the board needs to do today? Without further ado, may I have a motion to conclude this meeting?
Bereavements.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Larry. We have our bereavements and then we'll conclude. Okay, thank you. Thank
Please
you, Mr.
stand for bereavements. We have 3 losses to our Buffalo community. June 6th, Mary Cressy, mother of Dr. William Cressy, principal of City Honors. June 16th, Dana Sanders, nephew of Joanne Mitchell, parent liaison at school number 84. June 17th, Larry Garman, beloved security officer with the Buffalo Public Schools for more than 20 years. We have a moment of silence for those that we've lost. Thank you, everyone.
Now, may I have a motion to conclude our business meeting? Cindy McCutcheon, second by Paulette Woods. All in favor? Okay, so moved. Thank you. Also, you know, guys, we got our nameplates here today. Isn't it? CTE did that for us? Thank you. Thank you. I think it was Wazette. I think Wazette.